I told Thomas I'm getting my Kleenex ready. I'm just going to have to stop wearing mascara on Sundays. So let's please thank you again. I love your God. I love your God. And yours, thank you. Because as y'all know, what is dog spelled backwards? Right? I just want to get mine and go to the beach today now after that. I'm the same way, the ocean and a dog. Okay, so let me get myself together. So who here is ready for an AI generated parable? I know, right? A pastor noticed a man in the back pew who smiled broadly and yelled, "Amen, hallelujah," every Sunday, radiating pure joy. Curious, the pastor asked him after service, "What is the secret to your incredible joy?" The man smiled and said, "Well, Pastor, I have a deal with the Lord. Every morning I let him worry about all my problems, and I spend the rest of the day just enjoying his blessings." The pastor sighed and said, "I wish I could do that. What happens when the problems come back to you?" The man winked and replied, "Oh, they try to, Pastor, but I just tell them, 'Sorry, you'll have to take that up with management. I'm currently fully booked with joy.'" Isn't that awesome? I'm currently fully booked with joy. So how many of you start your day that way, right? Pull out your to-do list, and that's the first thing you write on it. Joy, 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 right? And that's the practice, right? Is just saying to yourself, I'm going to indulge in joy today. Um, so speaking of today's affirmation, it's going to be on our to-do, is I am fully booked with joy. How does that feel? Right? I am fully booked with joy. And breathe that in and just say it to the very, bringing it up from even your toes. I am fully booked with joy. Does that feel good enough, or could we do it even more? Let's do it even more. I am fully booked with joy. Thank you. I believe you now. You're fully booked with joy. So the series that we've been working on, J is for Joy, has continued into August because there's just so much to say. And we've looked at the nature of joy. And what I mentioned before, and it's based on this book, as I have said before, the Book of Joy. Ooh, bless you. The Book of Joy from Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, written with Douglas Abrams. The idea is that, and what I've said, is neither are strangers to struggle. Y'all know that, right? Neither one of them. Both of them experiencing great, tremendous struggle, including political exile, political violence. And yet, the most amazing thing is they've managed to live peaceful and joyful lives. And they've managed to see all of that as growth opportunities. Is that not beautiful? Growth opportunities, which has only led to their transformation, right? And so what they both say so often is all of life can become a growth opportunity. Whatever we move through, we can choose to see it as a chance to become more healed, more whole, more compassionate, or what's the other choice? To be bitter, right? To be unhappy, to be angry, to be frustrated. And that's only going to bring more of that. That's the reality, right? And so this book has just been so wonderful. It actually is our unity teachings. So what does he say about practicing joy? He says that we have to build mental immunity. Mental immunity, the same way that we take a shot, or the same way that we eat healthy foods like fruits and vegetables and drink water, right? So that our body is immune from illness. And what he says is that when we think those positive thoughts and we choose to do that, which is why I did our denials and affirmations, right? When we practice our practice of affirmative prayer, we become immune. We become absolutely immune, and we are seeing only the good. Now, notice he's not saying don't feel your feelings, right? He's not saying that. I have to always feel my feelings, because if I don't, they're stuck and they come out in crazy ways. I don't know if other people are like that, but I know I am. So he's not saying don't feel it, but what he is saying is look at life through this positive lens, this life affirming lens. That's how we build mental immunity. And it's a practice, right? It's a daily practice, it's a daily choice. It means, for me, noticing when I'm indulging in complaint, judgment, anger, blame, right? Noticing that. And it's not that I don't want to feel it, anger, right? I feel it, but I don't live there. That's the choice of not living there. So, mental immunity is our third principle. We create our lives through our mind, right? We create our lives through the thoughts that we think, and there's such freedom in that. And huge responsibility, right? Huge responsibility, because it's no longer life is doing this to me, or this other person is doing this to me, right? It's so much easier to say that. It's so much easier to say, well, it was their fault. They did this, right? It's like, oh, but what did I do? Where's my responsibility? I know one of the things I like to practice is that person is perfect and whole exactly as they are. What do I need to learn from this situation right now? It has nothing to do with them. I say that to my therapist. That person is perfect and whole. Here's what I know that I need to work on and learn. Because then I'm the only one I can control. I'm the only one I can grow. So this morning, what we've been working on or talking about are the obstacles of joy. Last week we looked at suffering and anxiety as an obstacle to joy. But now we get to talk about the 8 pillars of joy. Now, don't feel overwhelmed. This morning we're only going to work on 4 because that's a lot, right? 8 pillars. So the first 4 are mental qualities of mind, and then the last 4 are qualities of the heart. So today we're only going to look at the qualities of mind that are the 4 pillars of joy. So here they are: 1, perspective; 2, humility; 3, humor; and the last one is acceptance. Those are the 4 mental qualities of mind. So number 1, perspective. Very obvious, right? The ability to reframe our situation more positively. Having a healthy perspective is the foundation for experiencing joy, because the way we see the world is the way we're going to experience the world. Would you not agree with that? How we see it is how we're going to experience it. I remember growing up, my daddy, and my sister will know this very well, he would tell us not to trust anyone. I know, right? You can't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone. I think he felt like that's what would keep us safe, maybe. I don't know. But that's what he believed. And I was a child, and I would think, wow, really? That is such a sad way of living. I was a child, and I was like, you can't live like that. How can you live like that? Because if you live that way, what are you going to see? All the bad, all the people that aren't trustworthy, and you're not going to feel safe in your body, in the world, in anything. And I remember thinking, yeah, that's crazy. I'm not going to take that up. And I was really young thinking, that's really nuts. But I guess it worked for him, maybe. I adored my daddy, so, but yet that is what he believed. So, again, if you choose to see a world filled with loving and good people, that's what you're going to see, right? The Dalai Lama says that we need to look at our lives from a wider perspective. Remember how he looked at the last half of his life, not as I've lived in exile, I haven't had access to my country. That's not at all. He says, look at the world and the opportunities I've been able to have. Look at all the people I've met. The other thing he says is, I did not have to live my life in this formal kind of way, in this golden palace. I've been able to be with people, meet people, and grow. That's an amazing way to just change your perspective. Our beloved Reverend Vita, I'm sure y'all have heard her say, she has very often said, if I could look up from my life from up here, and that's what she means, from a bird's eye view, then I can see the wider life, the wider perspective. Archbishop Desmond Tutu calls it looking at life through a God's eye perspective. It allows us to transcend our limited identity, limited self-interest. It's a way of focusing ourselves rather than from the I, the me, the mine, to the us, the we, right? That's the idea of the wider perspective. It's not just about me, it's about all of us together. And that's the benefit, right? What I want for myself, I want for others. I know that for me, having a wider perspective helps me be less self-involved. And I know that I am so much more joyful when I'm in service to others. I'm so joyful. I come Sunday mornings. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I'm tired, right? But I show up. We've got prayer. We've got the music team. We've got words of inspiration. All of us together. I feel so much joy, so much more excitement than when I'm at home. Right? Exactly. And I never take it for granted. None of us do, that you come and you decide to choose to be here with us on your Sunday mornings. And what it does for me is it takes me outside of that monkey mind, right? Anybody else have that monkey mind when they're at home in their pajamas, right? The monkey mind, you know. So keep coming back, right? So how we look at life, that's ultimate freedom, through a wider lens. Next is humility, being humble and modest. The Dalai Lama says none of us are immune to the all too human traits of pride or ego. But he says true arrogance really comes from insecurity. Needing to feel that we are bigger than others comes from a nagging fear that we are smaller. The Archbishop says when we realize that we are all children of God, then we realize that each of us is of equal and intrinsic value, then we don't have to feel better or worse than others. In unity, we believe everyone has sacred worth. All of us are made in the image and the likeness, right? Desmond Tutu says he believes that when we are humble, we understand that we each have divine gifts, and our humility allows us to celebrate others' divine gifts. Humility comes from the Latin word earth or soil. It brings us down to earth, and sometimes with a thud. That's the idea of humility, right? So a really funny story about the Dalai Lama is if you ever watch him in interviews, he's just funny and humorous and acts like a child. And he and Desmond Tutu, they act like children together. They poke at each other. They're really silly. And the Dalai Lama says he was once with other world spiritual leaders, and one of them, who was sitting there, said, "My chair needs to be higher than everyone else's," right? And the Dalai Lama was like, "Oh, just taking it in." And he said, and he was in his mind, he was thinking, "I really hope that chair topples over." Which I love that he actually says that, right? But he says, "I hope that chair topples over," because we need humor, right? And it's the humor that brings us back to humility. So that's the next one, is humility. And that was his way of practicing humility, is that person needs to be humble. But so humor. It's the practice of laughing at life and knowing how to laugh at yourself. How many of you are good at that, laughing at yourself? I love that. I love that, right? I love to laugh at myself and others, as you know. I love to laugh, period. So the Dalai Lama says people who are always laughing have a sense of abandon and ease. They are less likely to have a heart attack than those people who are really serious and who have difficulty connecting with other people. He says those serious people are in real danger. The author, Douglas Abrams, who wrote the Book of Joy based on these conversations, writes that the Dalai Lama and Archbishop's response to any subject, no matter how seemingly painful, was to laugh. No matter what, they laughed. And when you read the book, you can't help but notice that neither of them take themselves too seriously. The Dalai Lama writes, laugh at yourself. Don't be so pompous and serious. If you start looking for the humor in life, you will find it. You will stop asking, why me? And start recognizing that life happens to all of us. It makes everything easier, including your ability to accept others and accept what life will bring. Our maternal aunt was so good at laughing at herself. Oh my, she was hysterical. She made everyone laugh, and she was really good at laughing at herself. And speaking of dogs, our first dog died, and I was having a really awful time. And she came to see me, and she didn't really know how to comfort me. Instead, she would say, I don't understand, your dog died. And I would say, I know, right? That's what she'd say. And I'd say, I loved my dog. She's like, but it's a dog. And I would say, but I love my dog. And she just, I don't understand. It's a dog. So I said to her, okay, because I wanted us to kind of meet somewhere, because again, she came to comfort me, and which can't say it was very comforting. And so I said, how about this? I am your niece, and you love me. Clearly, you came to see me. You love me. So can you understand that I, your niece, am in pain because of this? And she said, no, because you're in pain because of a dog. Oh. This is my aunt, right? Y'all knew her. So here's what I said to her. I said, you know what? I said, you need to grow in compassion. And she started laughing so loudly. And that was the thing I loved about her, is she would dish it, but believe me, you could say something to her and she would recognize it and then just laugh. Now, some people could have taken offense to that, especially somebody who did have a spiritual life, because she had a spiritual life. And then she was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right, I do. So what happened to her a couple of years later? She got a dog. The dog was named Buddy, which was the same name of our dog that we had lost. And she was like, I get it now. I love this dog. I was like, yep, now you get it. So, but how wonderful that she knew how to laugh at herself. She still brings me so much laughter. So, acceptance. The only place where change can begin is acceptance, right? So, when we see life in its wider perspective, and we see our role in life with some degree of humility, and we can laugh at ourselves, then we accept our life in all its pain, imperfection, and beauty. That's acceptance. And it's the opposite of resignation and defeat. It's not, I'm just resigned to this, oh well. It's just, I accept this as it is, right? Or another way of saying it, it is what it is, right? That's something I've heard Marty, she says, it is what it is. Acceptance. We just accept it as it is. It just is what it is. And not in this awful way, but I'm going to accept this. I love what Desmond Tutu says. He says that when one grows in the spiritual life, one can accept anything that happens. You accept the inevitable frustrations and hardships as part of the warp and woof of life. Isn't that awesome? Frustrations and hardships, warp and woof of life. The question is not how do we escape it. The question is how can we use this as something positive, right? How can I grow through this? Scripture says this is for my greater growth, right? That's what Joseph says. This has been for my greater growth. Whatever it is for that. That is the spiritual life. And so much good in that. Acceptance allows us to move into the fullness of joy. It allows us to engage with life on its own terms rather than rail against the face that you wish life would be. So in other words, it's that practice of non-resistance, right? Yeah. I'm not going to be angry about what is or resist what is, because the more you resist it, like it feels like the bigger it gets. Have you noticed that? The bigger it gets. But if you decide, I'm going to flow with this as it is, that's what Eric Butterworth talks about, living in that flow. It's a practice of non-resistance. It reminds me of, sorry, Thomas, when we were moving through, we were beginning the COVID, and our son had gotten accepted to a new middle school, and we really wanted him to be able to attend, and he couldn't. He had to do online. And my spouse says over coffee, "This is not what life," and then he stopped himself because he was going to say, "This is not what life is supposed to look like," which the idea is, clearly it is, otherwise it would look different, right? So why fight against it? Why? You're only going to make yourself miserable, perhaps sick, and stay stuck in that angry tent. So just live with it. It is what it is. So much of our suffering comes from our reacting to the people, places, things, circumstances in our lives rather than just accepting them. When we react, we stay locked in judgment, criticism, anxiety, despair, even denial and addiction. It is impossible to experience joy when we are stuck. Would you not agree? It's impossible to experience joy when you're stuck. And that's why we meditate. That's what that formal meditation practice is about. Because whenever it is, whatever shows up, you just let yourself stay with it. If it's anxiety, okay, I'm going to witness it. If it's worry, I'm going to witness it. And I'm also going to know that's not the truth of me. The truth of me is my divine nature. The truth of me is divine joy, intelligence, wisdom. I have all I need. So today, y'all are going to get a bonus meditation. Most of the time, you only get one meditation. Today, it's a 2-for-1. I know you're excited. So here's the thing that's so lovely about this book. Not only is it amazing and everything, it's, oh my gosh, Shara, thank you so much. You're so amazing. It also has practices in the back. And these practices, they call joy practices. So I'm going to offer the joy practices on the 4 pillars that we've talked about. So right now, if somebody would take down the lights, and this is a joy practice on the 4 pillars we've worked on. So I invite you to sit in your chair with your feet on the floor. And just noticing how you are already this mountain of dignity. You have a strong back and even a soft front. That soft front is a symbolism of the soft heart that you carry, expansive heart. And so take several long breaths through your nose. And just notice how your body just immediately begins to relax. Feeling lighter in the mind, the heart, the body. We'll just take some time to reflect on these pillars. So first, let a problem come to your mind. Reflect on the situation, the person, or the challenge that is causing you pain or suffering. And see yourself and whatever challenge came up for you, whatever problem, see it from a wider perspective. Try to step back from yourself in this challenge. See yourself and your struggle as if you were watching a movie about your life. Now think about this challenge, this problem from the future, from a year or a decade from now. Recognize that this will pass. Notice how your problem shrinks as you see it in the wider context of your life. And now you see yourself as one of the 7 billion people, and your problem as part of the pain and suffering that so many human beings experience. You can see your problem as part of the unfolding and interdependent drama of life on our planet, and even see yourself from space or from a God's eye perspective. See how deeply connected we are with one another. For you are the flowering of the universe in your particular place in time. Your connection to others makes you much stronger and more capable of solving your problem. Allow yourself to feel love and appreciation for all those who have contributed to who you are and who support you in your life. And now take a moment to smile and just see if you can even chuckle at this problem, at your shortcomings, at your frailties. Try to find the humor in the situation and in your struggle, even if it's very grave or serious. There's often some humor that can be found. The human drama is often a comedy, and laughter is the saving grace. This ability to laugh allows us to accept life as it is, broken and imperfect, even as we aspire for a better life and a better world. And right here and right now, choose to accept that you are struggling and accept that you have human limitations. Remind yourself that these painful realities do happen to us, to those we love, and in our world. Acknowledge that you cannot know all the factors that have led to this event. Accept that what has happened has already happened, and there is nothing you can do to change the past. Now remind yourself, in order to make the most positive contribution to this situation, I must accept the reality of its existence. I must accept the reality of its existence. And so know in this time that you are loved, you are supported, and you are encouraged. Amen. Amen.